you were on Amazon. You were greeted with some Taylor Swift. Here is what I would say about Taylor Swift showing up on Thursday Night Football. That's how bad the matchups have been, where Jeff Bezos, who's no longer in charge of Amazon but clearly has a stake in it, and Roger Goodell, the commissioner, they're like, hey, I know what we can do to make sure that we keep the people engaged. It's not touchdowns. No, you don't want touchdowns on Thursday Night Football. It's been so bad for so long. We'll give them the Swift, a Midnight's teaser, which is exactly what happened last night. And then overnight, we come to find out that Christian McCaffrey got traded by the Carolina Panthers to the San Francisco 49ers. In July, Giglio, we stood outside Bank of America Stadium with room temperature 40s of high life.
They were not cold at that point.
No, they had been sitting in the Ritz-Carlton lobby where we were doing Radio Row for ACC kickoff all day. You purchased those beers at what, 8:30 in the morning?
7:45.
7:45 in the morning. Sorry, that makes it even better. So you purchased those beers at 7:45 in the morning. They sat on a card table all day until 6 o'clock when we walked over to Bank of America Stadium and we did some bits. We called our shots. We knew Matt Rule was getting fired, so we poured one out for Matt Rule. We got it wrong with Christian McCaffrey. We poured one out for Christian McCaffrey in anticipation of him being out for the season for something, given the history. We did not have Christian McCaffrey gets traded on our bingo card, and that's what happened last night. And they get a bunch of draft picks. It was the right thing to do. Now, I know a lot of folks are probably going, how did they not get a first-round pick? I'm sorry, but given Christian McCaffrey's track record and his position and his salary, it was probably not going to be the case that they were going to get a first-rounder. And this is something that Adam Schefter, ESPN NFL insider, pointed out last night when this news broke, that the Panthers were never going to get a first-round pick for Christian McCaffrey.
On the one hand, I don't think they were ever going to get a first-round draft pick. No teams are surrendering first-round draft picks for running backs in this day and age. Not when you look also at the crop of free agent running backs this upcoming winter. It's a very deep class. The upcoming draft class of running backs and the performance of running backs in recent years. So when you're not going to get a first, you then focus on quantity and quality both, and they figured that there would be strength in numbers. So they get the 4 picks back. They get a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and 24. And keep in mind that the 49ers had extra picks from losing Robert Saleh to the New York Jets, and from losing Mike McDaniel to the Miami Dolphins, and from losing Martin Mayhew to the Washington Commanders. So the 49ers had 6 bonus third-round picks spread over years, in part that helped fund this trade for Christian McCaffrey that they agreed to tonight.
So that is Adam Schefter on ESPN after Christian McCaffrey got traded by the Carolina Panthers to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, there's some interesting sports family connections here. Christian McCaffrey's the son of Ed McCaffrey. Ed McCaffrey, wide receiver, was coached by Giglio?
Mike Shanahan.
Mike Shanahan. So now Christian McCaffrey's going to the Bay, where his head coach is
Kyle Shanahan.
He's also going back to the Bay, where he was a running back for
Stanford.
So all the warm fuzzies for Christian McCaffrey's return to the Bay Area, and I wish him nothing but the best. He's a great great running back. He was unfortunately mired in an era of Panthers football that was not great. He was hurt, so hopefully nothing but the best for CMC.
I think under Alanis' definition of irony, I can get away with this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you went with the family connections. Mike Shanahan, when he was the coach of the Broncos, is credited with basically devaluing the running back position. Because after Terrell Davis, who he turned into a Hall of Famer and won 2 Super Bowls behind, he basically just plugged in jabroni after jabroni off of the street, and still with the zone stretch was able to run for 1,000 yards. So Mike Shanahan, Kyle's dad, is more so than anyone else single-handedly responsible for the running back position being devalued. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Kyle comes in and makes this trade, and I get there are Panther fans out there right now. We were out at the Lonnie Pool today at NC State, and I had 2 or 3 people, I'm a Panthers fan, help me out here. What the heck just happened?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to say to them, you understand, first of all, just by getting rid of Christian McCaffrey's salary, you win the trade.
It's a win.
Even if you didn't get any picks for Christian McCaffrey, you win the trade by getting rid of his salary. But Joe, they didn't get a first-round pick. What about Tyreek Hill? Right, Tyreek Hill wasn't under contract. Tyreek Hill's the reason the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill, who, if you want to say, is a difference maker, and McCaffrey's a difference maker when he's healthy. They traded Tyreek Hill because they didn't want to pay Tyreek Hill. So that's why they got a first-round pick for Hill. But yeah, they got five picks for Hill. The Panthers got 4 picks for McCaffrey. They didn't get a 1.
Yeah.
That's fine. You got rid of McCaffrey's salary. Here's the part that becomes difficult for the Panthers. You have to make hay with the picks. You have to make hay with the cap space, because that's the gift that you have now. Look what the Jets did with the picks from the Panthers for Sam Darnold.
Well,
they drafted starters. They drafted difference makers. Breece Hall, a running back in the second round, just happened to be one of them.
look what the Dolphins had done with all the picks that they had amassed and had tried to put together something around Tua Tagovailoa. Now, concussions aside, you can't account for those things. But again, if there's a plan and you cash in on them, you can have success. And that's the great question going forward. The Carolina Panthers are right back where they started when they fired Ron Rivera. They made a ton of mistakes from that point on that has got us here, hitting the reset button again. The biggest question is, has David Tepper learned the lessons? Is he going to put the right football people in place to make the right decisions? Is he actually going to show patience? Okay. David Tepper didn't show patience with Teddy Bridgewater. He didn't show patience the second season when they brought on Sam Darnold. They won a couple games early on. What'd they do? Why did they find themselves in a situation where they had to replenish their draft picks?
Oh, they were chasing the dragon. I mean,
they honestly thought they were like a legitimate playoff contender at that point. So we're going to go get we're going to be on every
Henderson
deal.
And
Stephon Gilmore. Like, we're going to
Gilmore was a late pick, so
it's fine.
The Darnold trade was dumb. He wasn't a significant upgrade from Bridgewater, but again, I am willing to look past the mistakes that they made. That shouldn't factor in your evaluation of what you think of today's trade. Mm-hmm. Today's trade was a win for the Panthers.
Yes.
All right? Just getting rid of McCaffrey's salary is a win for the Panthers. Getting the picks back that you gave out for Darnold and Henderson and everyone else was a win for the Panthers. So now you have to make do with what you have. And in the NFL, you snap like that. I told you they're not that far away. This helps them snap that finger and get closer, and it includes using their first or second or third. It includes being in the top 3 of the draft next year and taking a franchise quarterback with the top 3 pick. It all flows from there, all of it.
Mm-hmm. The problem is, I don't disagree that there's a win to be had here. But that win can easily turn into another loss if they don't make the right decisions. And right now, I don't think that David Tepper, the owner of the Carolina Panthers, has earned the benefit of the doubt to make the correct decisions. From who's going to be making the football moves, who's going to be the head coach, and for heaven's sake, they've gotten the quarterback position wrong every time. I am not going to make the assumption that they're going to draft the right guy or find somebody again through free agency. I don't mind being proven wrong, but so far, everything that they have done has blown up in their face. We'll see if they can turn that around.